I started walking, as luck would have it. I managed a steady pace the rest of my life. Our manner and time of death isn't written in the stars, but neither is our good fortune predestined. Your life is yours. I worked hard, lived it up, and died happy. Couldn't ask for more. From Rudeus Greyrat. Generational, man. Chills and just outright, what a way to just be the final farewell. It's just, this quote here perfectly summarizes the very core essence, the theme of just what Mushoku Tensei's main goal is, or what Rudy's character represents. Someone that gets a second shot at life, and someone that lives life to the fullest, at least in their own eyes, and tries to have a better, fulfilling life. It is beautiful, man. It's really beautiful. And, I'm going to be blunt here. Seeing Mushoku Tensei finally come to an end is legitimately just an emotional feeling. Because all good things obviously must eventually end. And technically the webcomic, or not webcomic, the web novel has been done for years now. But at long last, the light novel version of Mushoku Tensei has officially ended yesterday. And I saw this post by Rin here talking about it, basically saying volume 26 of the English light novel has officially come out. And at this current time where I'm at, I need to finish reading volume 24. The reason why I did not read volume 25 when it released a bit ago is because I was just waiting for the final volume, for volume 26 to come out. And I was like, then I'm gonna, finish it off. But, man, Mushoku Tensei is just such a fantastic series, and seeing at long last the conclusion of the series is just, it's emotional, because it is easily one of the best light novels I think I've ever read, at least when it comes to the fantasy genre, and it comes to, just being transported to another world or something. I would say it's top 3, easily. The only thing I would really put close to Mushoku Tensei, in my personal opinion, would be ReZero and Overlord. And I have really big bias for those two series, but I also have bias for Mushoku Tensei. And just having a story that you could sit down and read from the start to the end, and there is just no waiting, is honestly such a magical experience. Can we talk about that for a second? Before I go any further and really talk about just, these posts here, I want to talk about how Mushoku Tensei, is a story now that if someone was to get into it, if someone was to enjoy the anime and then they wanted to read the light novel, they could sit down and read the light novel and finish the story. They can conclude it. If they wanted to spend an entire few days, next 3 to 4 days, reading Mushoku Tensei, they could to finish the story. They don't need to wait years for a translation. They don't need to wait years for a new volume to release. And obviously, in some people's eyes, this could be a very sad and depressing fact, because that means there's no more content. But at the same time, it means that there is a conclusion. There is actually a conclusion to a story that obviously resonates a lot with the readers of the story. Now, once again, I have not read this latest volume that came out, but I think that just judging by the community's reaction to, let's say, the web novel, but now to the light novel, it's very obvious that the conclusion is fantastic. It's very fulfilling, and it leaves you just feeling like you read a really good story. You finally got a good conclusion, and you're satisfied. And it's very rare for stories to be able to do that. It's very rare for any form of literature to be able to make the reader or watcher leave the series satisfied. And let's be honest, just think about any series that's ended over the past decade. Attack on Titan, Tokyo Ghoul, the list goes on, so to speak. People have these emotions or certain expectations for storytelling. And there will always be people, a big chunk of the community, regardless if it's a good ending or not, that are just going to not be satisfied. But the fact I've really seen nobody upset with the web novel's conclusion, but also the light novel, really just speaks volumes by just the quality of writing from the author of Mushoku Tensei. Now, before I go any further, I want to talk about this quote for a second, okay? I obviously briefly mentioned that it pretty much summarizes the entire story, but I just want to say that this is such a magical quote here, because it summarizes Rudy's character, because FYI, anyone that has obviously watched Mushoku Tensei or read the series knows Rudy, at the start, is not a good person. He's not. He's legitimately not. Let's not try to kid ourselves. He isn't. But he changes. He grows. He's a very flawed character. And this is something that is, I really enjoy from works of fiction and stuff. Just seeing a character that starts off very flawed, very awful, and become a better person, grow as a person. And that's what Rudy did. Now, obviously, some might be quick to say he didn't change or whatever, but that's not the point. Rudy does change to a degree. He does better himself over time. And I think that, having him basically say here that he was satisfied with his life, that, he lived it up, no matter how he died or whatever, his death isn't written or whatever, the big point is that he lived his life to the fullest before it came to an end. And I think that is a very emotional message to really kind of send like a message to anyone reading this. Like, live your life to the fullest. Don't just like sit there and be stationary and just mold while you sit around. Actually grow and try to do things that you never once would have done maybe a few days ago or months ago, years ago. I love this. It just, Rudy is such a good character. I know that is a very, I guess, controversial take. I know a lot of people like to really hate MT and all that, but, like, Rudy really has grown as a character, and just seeing the conclusion here is just, it's 10 out of 10, man. Just really 10 out of 10. But okay, backing up for a second, let's talk about a few other things. So, I want to talk about the translations and all that of MT, and obviously this gets into a little bit of drama department, but it is important to talk about. I do want to kind of actually mention this because it is important. It relates to ReZero, which is another series that I really, really love, and I hold in a very special place in my heart. So, this is Ice. He is the individual that basically leaks and gives information on ReZero and different stuff like that. Very trustworthy individual. And what he says here is pretty much talking about the release schedule of, like, MT, Mushoku Tensei, and its light novels, to other stuff, like, for instance, ReZero from Yen Press. And I want to be blunt here. I've worked with the Impress in the past, and what I'm about to say here is definitely going to probably upset them. It might get me blacklisted from them. I want to be honest, but I want to say it like it is. I do agree with what Ice is saying here, is that the release of Impress, like what they release, is just so agonizingly slow. It's just, it's like, why? Why does it take so long? Now, to be fair, I know Yen Press has a lot of projects. They pick up a lot of different light novels to translate. And I know translations can be difficult. I know that. I know for a fact it can, if they're actually doing proper translations. But the thing is that what has been a drama going on for a while now, and a little bit of it happened with MT actually, is that there was mistranslations. For instance, there was a problem with some of the translations of Mushoku Tensei, and, people got upset about it. But obviously, 7 Seas, as a publisher, are quick to react to this and correct flaws, if there is flaws. They do try to correct them if they can. Now, they're not perfect. I'm not saying they always do that, but most of the time they try. Yen Press, however, is a company that I've noticed over the years, especially with ReZero, they make these inaccurate translations, and then they just leave them there for years. They just let them sit there while the community, is like, yo, this is not right. Like, changing these character names completely to a different character name and all that. This is not a right translation. It completely misses the message of what the story is about, etc. And, this has happened continuously with ReZero. And it's just like, for a company to release, like, for instance, 1 volume of ReZero, and it takes 8 years later, they're only on volume 23, and it's like Mushoku Tensei in 5 years got 26 volumes translated. It's like, this is kind of like, what? When they have a higher quality translation, while Yen Press gets like 1 volume out per year, that has a very shoddy translation. It's just like, why don't you just read the fan translation? Because clearly, there's more passion and dedication put into it. So it's just, just shout outs to the publisher as well, 7 Seas, for releasing MT in such a timely fashion, because I'll be honest with you, like, 4 or 5 months ago, like, volume 21, 22 of Mushoku Tensei came out for, like, English release, and then now volume 26 is out. It's like, holy crap, like, that's a lot of volumes back-to-back that they translated and came out for the readers. It's nice. It's just like, if people wanted to consume the content, they were able to, consume the content. So just shout-outs to 7 Seas and Yen Press. This is kind of like an example of, get your crap together, try to translate ReZero a little bit better, but also a little bit faster. It's like, it reminds me a lot of Spice and Wolf. If anyone remembers, Spice and Wolf's light novel release, oh my goodness. Like, when I used to collect those novels, when it was, like, on volume, 6, actually, when volume 6 was coming out, I remember, like, Yen Press only had, 2 volumes out, and it took them, 8 years just to get to volume 12, okay? While volume, 18 or 17 or whatever of Spice and Wolf was already out. It's just like, holy crap, dude. It's just, Yeah, I really do agree with this. But anyways, getting off of that for a second, I also want to talk about more MT news. This is more anime related. So we got, basically saying that, yeah, the red stage is soon. MT is going to be getting, a big spot in it, which we already kind of knew. But this is exciting because now that MT's light novel is officially over, this kind of segues into the fact that the anime now doesn't have to worry. It won't catch up to content, etc. It can just adapt everything. So yeah, I'm very happy about all around about the MT stuff we got recently. And my goodness, man, it's quite an emotional journey. The end of MT is actually here at long last. It's gonna be sad when I finally read this final volume and just see the final words. When I get to this, I might cry. I legitimately might cry when I get to this and I read it, because it's just, man, the stuff that happened in volume 24 was insane. And, like, at the beginning of what I was reading and at the end of 23. And seeing this, I cannot imagine what's gonna happen. Oh my goodness. But, I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for watching. I wanted to talk about this and bring this up because, I love light novels. I love MT, and I know there's a lot of people out there that probably love it just as much as I do. But before I wrap up this video, I do want to say thank you everyone in this community, to the fans of the web novel, to the light novel, to the anime fans, to, the staff that worked on the show, to the author that brought this series to life, to the translators from the official and non-official translations, everyone that's worked on this series over the years. Just thank you so much, and it's been, what a journey. Just what a journey. I'll leave it at that, though. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video and you like MT as much as I do. Chibi out.